Hey there everyone, we're back again with another walkthrough series. In this video we're going to discuss about reading passage 1. That is basically talking about pulling strings to build pyramids. Since this is a walkthrough, I'll essentially read the entire text, although skimming and scanning works as well. So let's get started by first of all analyzing the questions. We know that the reading passage 1 is somewhat of a descriptive, or I'm going to write this descriptive or factual, and the answer is going to be quite direct. So it is generally believed that large numbers, I'm also going to be highlighting, so I think I'm going to take a green color. It is generally believed that large numbers of people were needed to build the pyramids. Clemence found a strange hieroglyph on the wall, and often Egyptian monument. Garib had previously done experiments on bird flight. Garib and Graf tested their theory before applying it, so they tested their theory. The success of the actual experiment was due to the high speed of the wind. They found that as the kite flew higher, the wind force got stronger. The team decided that it was possible to use kites to raise very heavy stones. And then we have another. We also have another summary completion. We have additional evidence for theory of kite lifting. Egyptians had something which could lift large pieces of something, so some sort of an intricate part, and they knew how to use energy of the wind from their skill as something else. The discovery on one pyramid of an object which resembled, meaning copied, a something suggests they may have experimented with something else as well. In addition, over 2,000 years ago, kites were used in Chinese weapons as well as for something else. It's all right. We essentially read the questions or question statements. All right, let's get started. No one knows exactly how pyramids were built. Marcus Chown reckons the answer could be hanging in the air. That means people hanging in the air, like it means it's still unknown. The pyramids of Egypt were built more than 3,000 years ago, and no one knows how. The conventional picture is that tens of thousands of slaves dragged stones and sledges. So we know that. I'm going to highlight this. But there's no evidence to back this up. Now, a Californian software consultant called Maureen Clemence has suggested that kites might have been involved. While perusing a book on the monuments of Egypt, she noticed a hieroglyph that showed a row of men standing on odd pictures. So while perusing a book on the monuments, perusing that's not perusing, but perusing means to read a text or a book carefully. So she didn't find. She as you can see that the question 2 says Clemence found a strange hieroglyph on the wall of an Egyptian monument. No, she didn't find it on the wall. She actually read it. So the answer is going to be false here. I'm gonna write F here instead of why did I put that. I'm going to put this text, and I'm going to use red color as well. All right. Also, it is generally believed that large numbers of people were needed to build pyramids. Yes, because it says conventional pictures that tens of thousands of slaves dragged stones on sledges, right? So the pyramids of Egypt were built more than 3,000 of slaves dragged stones on sledges. This means that a huge number of people are generally believed to have been involved in building the pyramids. So the answer is going to be true for that as well. So not as well, but the first true for the question. Alright, so Garib had previously done experiments on bird flight. Alright, so they were holding what looked like ropes that led by some kind of mechanical system to a giant bird in the sky. She wondered if perhaps the bird was actually a giant kite, and the men were using it to lift a heavy object. She wondered. She didn't know, but she wondered. She didn't know. Intrigued, Clemence contacted Morteza Garib. So we have Clemence and Morteza Garib, aeronautics professor at the California Institute of Technology. He was fascinated by the idea. Coming from Iran, I have a keen interest in Middle Eastern science, he says. He too was puzzled by the picture that had sparked Clement's interest. So the word puzzled means he was kind of the word puzzled means confused, right? Really ambiguous something. The object in the sky apparently had wings far too short and wide for a bird. The possibility certainly existed that it was a kite, he says. And since he needed a summer project for his student Emilio Graf, investigating the possibility of using a kite as heavy lifters seemed like a good idea. So generally, I would say that the question says Garib had previously done experiments on bird flight, but let me just first of all I'm going to put number 1 so that we know the answer is, and I'm going to highlight it in the yellow color, and I'm going to put 2 here because we know they are the answers. All right. Garib had previously done experiments on a bird flight, so it was generally said that she had a keen interest and stuff like that. She had a keen interest coming from Iran and stuff like that, blah blah blah. But Garib had previously done experiments on bird flight. I would say that information on Garib before he did the experiment on Clement's theory, I think it was, I don't think he had he or she, is it he? Doesn't really matter. So he didn't not that he didn't, but it was not mentioned whether or not he has done an an experiment. So that's going to be not given. All right. Okay. So it's basically here. Oh, there you go. Yeah, it's he. It's not she, by the way. So we're going to take that and underline it. Okay. So Garib and Graf tested their theory before applying it. Okay, we're going to go more. The possibility certainly existed. It was a kite, he says, and since he needed a summer project for his students, Emilio Graf investigated the possibility of using kites as heavy lifters. Seemed like a good idea. Garib and Graf. So is it a Garib and Graf? Garib and Graf. Okay. Garib and Graf set themselves the task of raising 4.5 meter stone column from horizontal to vertical using no source of energy except the wind. Their initial calculations, it says, so the word initial calculations, basically their initial calculations and scale model wind tunnel experiments convinced them they wouldn't need a strong wind to lift the 33.5 ton column. So basically that is the answer. So it means how to say it? So this means that the theory had been tested before being applied, because they first calculated. They have done some mathematical experiments before actually applying it. So that is true. So I'm going to take grid there. And now the success of the actual experiments was due to high speed of the wind. So, all right. The object in the sky apparently had wings far too short and wide for a bird. The possibility certainly existed that it was a kite. Oh, why am I reading that? I'm sorry for that. So the key was to use a pulley system that even a modest force, if sustained over a long time, it would do. So the key was to use a pulley system that would magnify the applied force. So they rigged up a tent-shaped scaffold, scaffold maybe, yeah. So I know the word rigged up. So rigged up basically means to make or build something from whatever the material that is available. Scaffold directly above the tip of the horizontal column with pulleys suspended from the scaffold's apex, from the scaffold's tip, right? The idea was that as one of the end of the column rose, the base would roll across the ground on a trolley. Earlier this year, the team put Clement's unlikely theory to the test. Using a 40 square meter rectangular nylon sail, the kite lifted the column clean off the ground. We were absolutely stunned. Grip says the instant The instant the sail opened the wind, a huge force was generated and the column was raised to the vertical in a mirror. So, okay, we have a huge force and blah, blah, blah. So, basically, let's read the question. So, it says the success of the actual experiment was due to high speed of the wind. So, was it? I think we didn't find that yet. So, the wind was blowing at a gentle, so there we go. We have a gentle 16 to 20 kilometers an hour. So this is going to be answer number 5. So that's the answer number 5. I'm going to take that. So I'm going to put answer number 5 instead of. So there we go. We also forgot about number 4 over here. So I'm going to put number 4 there. So the wind was blowing at a gentle. So the keyword gentle. 16 to 20 kilometers an hour, a little more than half what they thought would be needed. So basically, it says the actual experiment due to high speed of the wind, and they're saying actually a little more than what they have thought would be needed. Actually, I'm going to highlight them all. Okay, so no, gentle, high speed, two different things. Contradiction. The answer, false. Alright, so they found that as the kite flew higher, the wind force got stronger. Right? So, but we knew that. We knew, does it answer here? No. Okay, so what they had failed to reckon this was that what happened when the kite was opened, there was a huge initial force, 5 times larger than the steady state force. So, Garib says, this jerk meant that kites could lift huge weights. Garibin realized even a 300-ton column could have been lifted to the vertical with 40 or so men and 4 or 5 sails. So Clemens was right. The pyramid builders could have used kites to lift massive stones into place. We remember the team decided that it was possible to use kites to raise very heavy stones. But right, so okay, so basically I think there's no reference. Was there? But they found that as the kite flew higher, the wind force got stronger, and somehow it always goes to the top. Kind of confusing. So, or was it mentioned anything from here? I guess not. So we only know that when the kite was opened, there was a huge initial force. So there was a huge initial force, 5 times larger than the steady state force. But it's not saying whether or not the wind force got stronger. So I would say that this is not given. I put the red color there. So the team decided that it was possible to use kites to raise very heavy stones. Yeah, absolutely true. So we found the answer over here. Okay, so somewhere I'm going to underline it here. This one as well. So I'm going to make green theirs, and I'm going to put 6 and highlight it as yellow. And we remember, so Clemens was right, builders, and there we go. So I'm actually going to remove that, and I'm going to put number 7. So I'm just going to put number 7. So there we go. Okay, so basically we found that it is true. I'll take that as well. So we're finished. We're done with true, false, not given. Now time for summary completion. And for summary completion, yeah, basically Egyptians had something which could lift large pieces of something else. Title of the summary: additional evidence for theory for of kite lifting. The Egyptians had something which could lift large pieces of something else. Okay, let's just go through. Maybe we're still left with a large piece of vocabulary. Text. There are no pictures showing the construction of pyramids. There's no way to tell what really happened. The evidence for using kites to move large stones is no better or worse than the evidence for brute force method, Graves says. Indeed, the experiments have left many specialists unconvinced. So, I need additional evidence. The Egyptians had what? So, okay. The evidence, we know that. There we go. The evidence. Now I'm going to use yellow color. For kite evidence is non-existent, says Willie Q. Hendrick, as an associate professor of Egyptology at the University of California, Los Angeles. Others feel there is a more of a case for the theory. Harnessing the wind would have not been a problem for accomplished sailors like the Egyptians. Oh, there we go. We have something like that. So, what would the answer be here? Interesting. So, Egyptians said something. What did they have? All right. And they're known to be used wooden pulleys. Oh, there we go. We have wooden pulleys. So I think that's number 8. Whoops, my mouse actually just. Okay, so we're going to put number 8 here. There we go. But in this case, I'm going to use green. So they use wooden pulleys. I'm going to take that and use wooden pulleys. Which could lift large pieces of wooden pulleys, which could have been made strong enough to bear the weight of massive blocks of stone. So massive blocks of stone. So large pieces of stone. So we're going to take stone here. All right. So the blocks of stone. I'll take yellow here and put number 9. All right, so and they knew how to use the energy of the wind from their skill as, and we know that accomplished sailors harnessing the wind would have not been a problem. So and they knew how to use energy. So in the gap, in gap 8 and gap 9, we need 2 nouns, obviously, and we found it. Something that the Egyptians could use to lift large pieces of something. So the answer therefore should have been, should be, and not should have been, but should be, and it is wooden pulleys and a stone. In gap 10, we need another noun, which possibly indicates some sort of a job, as the question mentions skill as, right? So skill as. So we have to make sure we know this as well. So the word skill as, which requires the ability to use the energy of the wind, and we know that it says harnessing the wind would not have been a problem for accomplished sailors like Egyptians. So actually, and once again, requires the ability to use the energy of the wind. The word that refers to the job here can only be accomplished sailors. So basically, from their skill as accomplished sailors. So we're going to take accomplished sailors there and put it cyan color. So discover one pyramid of an object which resembled a. What do they resemble? What do they copy? In addition, there is some physical evidence that the Egyptians were interested in a flight. A wooden artifact found on the step pyramid Saqqara looks uncannily like a modern glider. Looks uncannily. It's a really strange word. I think I know. So a wooden artifact. Alright, so a wooden artifact found on a step pyramid Saqqara looks like uncannily like a modern glider. So the word uncannily, what did uncanny mean? Uncannily? Uncannily. I believe uncanny actual word means something that is really strange. So basically the question is saying resemble is something that they may have experimented with. So I believe that. So they were interested. A wooden artifact found on the step pyramid Saqqara looks uncannily like. So Would an artifact found this step but the pyramid sucker looks like uncanny like modern glider. Although it dates from several hundred years ago after the pyramids, its sophistication suggests that the Egyptians might have been developing ideas for flight for a long time. Okay. Alright, so what is that supposed to mean? So we need another two. We need another two now, you know? So basically its sophistication suggests that the Egyptians might have been developing ideas. The Egyptians might have been developing ideas for flight. Okay, so uncannily like a modern glider. So basically that is is that a modem or is it like modern? Like, I think it's a modern, right? It's not like a modem. So there's a modern. I think it's, let me rename that, or maybe I basically it's a modern, right? It's not a modem or modern. So uncannily like a modern glider. So I think I'm gonna take that and say modern glider. Or maybe I'm not right. So basically, maybe it's a modem. I'm not really sure about that. So, but I basically know, but I'm 100% sure that I'm sure that the suggestions they made have been experimented with what. So we've basically found that they resembled a modern glider, and the object suggests that the Egyptians experimented with some idea or theory. Theory. So if the first one, modern glider and a flight. So, like a modern glider, although it dates from several hundred years after building the pyramids, its sophistication suggests that the Egyptians might have been developing ideas of flight for a long time. So they might have experimented with flight. In addition, over 2,000 years ago, kites were used in China as weapons as well as for sending. Alright, another ancient civilization certainly knew about kites as early what is that, 1250 BC, before Christ. The Chinese were using them to deliver messages and dump flaming debris on their foes. So basically, deliver, send. So there we go. We have not highlighted, but I'm gonna take that as yellow, and okay, yellow, and put 13 here. 13 and develops of the ideas of developing a flight. So this is going to be 12. So, and kind of like a modern glider. So this one is going to be 11. All right, and modern. But I'm not really sure about that. So modern glider. So there we go. Messages. So the final answer here is going to be messages. So we are officially done with passage 1, basically. So there you go, guys. If you found this quite helpful, as you can see that I read, but didn't really actually read, but we were left with one big paragraph left just for nothing. So basically, I used the words mentioned. I mean, the words that I use in this reading passage is pretty simple, but however, there are words like we remember like perusing a book. We could use basically inference to make conclusions basically from this sentence, and yeah, there were no actually a really complex vocabulary, but at the end of the day, still IELTS reading is about checking whether or not you have good vocabulary, and you know, are you rich of vocabulary or grammar. So there you go, guys. If you found it helpful, please smash the like button, and obviously if you found it once again helpful, make sure to subscribe. And yeah, thank you very much for watching, guys. See you on the next episode.